Hey folks, David Glenn of the North Carolina Sports Network coming at you from the 2023 ACC Kickoff event. Our coverage brought to you by the North Carolina Pork Council. And joining us now is the 2022, meaning reigning, ACC Coach of the Year from Duke University, coming off a 9-4 season. That is only the 7th time in the history of Duke football that the Blue Devils have won 9 or more games. We're talking to Coach Mike Elko. Coach, welcome to the David Glenn Show and the North Carolina Sports Network. How are you?
Thanks, I'm great. Now that all that pressure you just put on me to deliver again.
Yeah, well, wait till you get to the harder questions. We'll see. Let's pretend it's 21-year-old Mike Elko.
Okay.
You're an Ivy League football champion as a player, given your time as a safety, I believe, at the University of Pennsylvania. If I had said to you back then, 25 years ago, hey, man, you're going to be a multi-million-dollar coach in a Power 5 conference as a head coach, would that have even been within your wildest dreams back then?
No. I think a 21-year-old version of myself had no idea where this was going to go. I just knew I had passion for football. I wasn't really sure what else I was excited about trying to get involved with. And so I took a GA job at Stony Brook. And I tell people this story all the time. From Stony Brook, I went back to Penn my second year, and I was doing the career planning services tours, looking at them put up like the average starting salary of a Penn grad, year 1 out, year 2 out. And I'm like, I don't know if I did the right thing coming out of college, but obviously it's worked out.
The first time I hosted a sports radio show, I was so excited that I almost forgot to breathe. Like I needed to relax and just get into it. Your maiden voyage as a head coach is the ACC Coach of the Year. I know you deflect credit, but what did that mean to you just in terms of reinforcing, hey, you were a great defensive coordinator, but you did a lot of things right in your maiden voyage as a head coach?
Yeah, I think honestly more so than that, it just is tremendous recognition for our program and our kids and what it's all about. Like when you get an ACC Coach of the Year, and I told them this, it's not just a one-person award. It's a reward to the players for buying into the messaging. It's a reward for the assistant coaches and the support staff for everything that they've done. And then I think it just speaks to leadership and the ability to lay out a path for us to follow to success. And I think obviously a lot of people got to do that.
I've been doing these events for more than 30 years, and I think you know me well enough already. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. I can tell when I'm talking to a Duke football player. Not that there aren't other smart football players.
Yeah.
There are. But does it help to be an Ivy League grad when you're coaching Duke caliber student athletes?
Yeah, I think what I told Nino when I interviewed for the job was I have a unique background that I think can help me push this thing to where it's capable of going from both sides. I think one, being an Ivy League grad, being at places like Notre Dame or Wake Forest and knowing what those types of environments are like, but then also being at a place like Texas A&M where I know what that environment is like as well, and I know what we're competing against, right? And so now having the ability to shape a message to our guys of how do we chase both, right? How do you find a way to be successful in both avenues? Because at the end of the day, you're going to get judged by wins and losses on the football field. This is what we signed up for.
I don't know how many folks have wished you a happy birthday. I know it is not quite official, but a slightly early happy 46th birthday to you.
Appreciate that.
Sure. When you think about growing up near New York City, South Brunswick High School in New Jersey, my understanding is it was kind of a routine middle-class type background, right? Like, do you and your wife allow yourselves to splurge now that you're the successful coach, or are you still more like the guy who grew up in a middle-class family in northern Jersey?
No, we're about as blue-collar as they come, and I think I think we keep each other grounded, but she certainly keeps me grounded all the time. And we try to do things as a family to give our kids some stuff that maybe we didn't have, and we certainly try to take advantage of vacation opportunities when they present themselves. But I don't think you would recognize who we really are by what we buy and what we do.
I've heard that about you. Duke's Mike Elko is joining us here on the North Carolina Sports Network. The Duke University brand is like 100 years old in a positive way.
Yep.
The Duke men's basketball brand has been international for probably 40 or 50 years.
Yeah.
The Duke football brand has kind of ridden more of a roller coaster.
Yeah.
How do you describe, as the Duke football coach, how those other brands can help you do your job?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, I'm not at Duke without those other two brands. I think what Duke stands for as a university across this country is attractive. I think what Duke basketball has shown is that at an elite academic institution, we can be a national and even an international athletic brand. And so then how do we find a way to carve out a niche for football? And I think obviously resource commitment and commitment to the program is critical. And so those were a lot of the questions I asked before I took the job. But once I realized that the administration was going to be all in, I think those other brands kind of paved the way. And I think that's what we've been able to really show, which is it's not about one or the other. We can be really good in football and basketball, and that's what we're trying to do.
You could write a book probably on the word culture, but I wonder how you put it into a shorter answer. I happen to love and respect your predecessor, David Cutcliffe. Became a friend of mine. I miss him, although I like you. To go from 2-9 and 3-9 to 9-4 is not something you see every day.
Right.
How do you succinctly summarize the quick nature of that turnaround and what the key elements were of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think there were so many reasons why that happened, right? I've got a ton of respect for Coach Cutcliffe, too. And I got to the ACC in 2014 at Wake Forest when Duke was humming, right?
Yeah.
And they weren't just overachieving. I mean, there's 3 offensive linemen on that team still playing in the professional football league, right? And so Coach Cutcliffe did a lot to put this program on the map and get it to a point where it was attractive to the defensive coordinator from Texas A&M. And then I think what we found when we came in was just maybe there were some things that we could clean up and freshen up quickly. And I think we tried to do that. I think resources helped. I think our ability to change what we were providing our student athletes kind of re-energized everything. And that's kind of where it all started.
The reigning ACC Coach of the Year, Mike Elko, joining us on the David Glenn Show. You guys are such freaks, I use that in a good way, for preparation. Is there any logic to the theory that being the new guy last year with a new system and not as much tape on you, at least in that system, that it could have worked to your advantage last year during a 9-win season? And if the answer to that is yes, how do you sort of counteract that there's now a year's worth of tape on you?
Yeah, maybe even the easier way to say it is certainly nobody last summer was looking at the Duke game trying to figure out how to get a competitive edge in that matchup, right? And I think maybe that has changed a little bit going into this offseason, where I think people are paying a little bit more attention to us. Certainly Clemson will be looking at all of our weaknesses. And so I just think we had to really do a good job with our self-scout and our deep dive, to be honest, and to look at what worked, why it worked, and where we could get better, and try to find a lot of areas where we could improve what we were trying to do. And I think we did that, and hopefully it stays fresh and clean this year.
It's different at every school how much input a coach has on the schedule. If I were in your shoes and I wanted another high win total, I'm not sure I'd want to host the Clemson Tigers on Labor Day night. But although, on the other hand, part of your job is recruiting and excitement around the program. So it's rare to be in an exclusive TV window. The world is watching ESPN as the Blue Devils will host the Tigers in early September. You also have Notre Dame coming. I mean, I don't know how many Wallace Wade home schedules have ever been something like what the Devils will be hosting this year. Like, how does that math or calculus translate in your brain? Because I'm just sort of excited from the outside.
Yeah, well, it works both ways, right? Mike Elko, the football coach, wants to play 0-12 teams, right? And know that I'm going to be a 28-point favorite every week. And Mike Elko, the CEO of Duke football, knows how important these types of games and these types of opportunities are for us to build our brand, right? And trying to find a way to go out and make sure we put our best foot forward, but don't overdo it, right? There are going to be big moments. There are going to be big stages that Duke football hasn't really been on in a while, but we've got to make sure that we're able to go out and play the game of football the way we're capable of. And I think that's our challenge.
I'm not going to torture you with name, image, likeness stuff or even transfer portal stuff, but I am curious about this. And you may have to correct me here, but I feel like you added several starting caliber players by the transfer portal. You only have 22 plus special team starters, so that's a nice boost. But I don't remember you losing somebody who was projected as a starter.
Yeah.
That's mastery of the transfer portal. How do you do that?
I don't know. No. We did this from day one. We always said our number one goal in the transfer portal is to keep our players out there. I think that was, we wanted to build a program, we wanted to provide an experience that they felt very good, that they could get anything they wanted. If they wanted to go be an NFL player, we were developing them in the weight room, we were coaching them, we were giving them scheme opportunities that they could do that. And then, they would enjoy their life as a student athlete too, and they would know what the degree was. And so that has been as big of a recruiting pitch as we've made since we got there, was to our own guys to try to make sure they knew what Duke was going to be about. And then, obviously we have something to sell, right? We've got a great education. We've got some great master's degrees. We can go out and we can find some guys to supplement our roster. I think we were able to do that.
We're going to get you out of here with what we call rapid fire.
All right.
So Coach K, for example, is joining me in August as a guest for like a longer getting to know you conversation. When you're not in season, I'm going to have you back where I get to know you even better. But for example, if you had the choice in our state, you have beach houses, lake houses, and mountain houses all here in North Carolina. What would be your number one on that list, just personality-wise?
Yeah, so I'm a lake house guy. I think that's kind of what we've grown to. And so our first lake vacation actually was Lake Norman.
Cool.
So yeah, we did it right.
Nice choice.
We did it right.
What sport beyond football is closest to your heart and why? I've heard you're still a New York Yankees fan.
Yeah, so baseball as a sport is probably closest to my heart, but I am a closet European soccer fan. So,
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
North Carolina Pork Council is one of our sponsors. Are you familiar enough with all the barbecue styles that you could choose between the Eastern North Carolina barbecue, Western North Carolina barbecue, or you could go bacon or other pork products?
Yeah, here's the thing about me. I don't miss many meals. I'm very good at this question. I love them both.
Both is a good answer. Favorite musicians, who comes to mind?
Zach Brown Band would probably be the first one that jumps into my head.
Excellent. You Springsteen guy from your
No,
days?
not. I never was a rock guy.
Okay.
So I was a basketball player. So I was a hip hop guy young, but became a country guy later.
I'm a Jimmy Buffett guy, and he's been doing stuff with Zach Brown Band, which is really cool. Favorite family trip outside the United States over the years?
Never been.
No?
No, never been. We did my honeymoon in Jamaica.
That
so
counts.
I guess I'd have to count that one.
That counts.
We've never really been an international travel.
I was in Jamaica last year, and I recommend it highly. That is the reigning ACC Coach of the Year, Mike Elko. We have enjoyed getting to know you a little bit, Coach, in multiple. I just ended up at the Triangle Pigskin preview. Coach Elko is probably tired of David Glenn by now, but I appreciate you stopping by.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, really appreciate it.
You got it.
Thanks.
And thanks to the North Carolina Pork Council. We'll be back with more from the ACC's 2023 kickoff.